One of the first videos I did on this channel looked at Corellia's history of rebellious attitudes, talking about the various Corellian insurrections. Every good Star Wars rebellion needs a navy, and at the core of any good Star Wars navy are their fighters and bombers. The Corellians are no different, so today we're going to talk about some of the most prominent Corellian starfighters during their revolts, the LAF 250 and the LAF 500. I guess I could have just said 250. Anyways, the Corellian sector is famous for its independence streak, and although it wouldn't be until around 40 ABY, or years after the Battle of Yavin, that they successfully started their own galactic-level government, they maintained independent control over the Corellian sector after the Emperor's death until they joined the New Republic almost a decade later, with the first Corellian insurrection a few years later in 18 ABY under self-appointed dictat Thraken Sal-Solo attempting to secede once again. I'll put a link to the original Corellia video with a bit more detail because there's some other stuff that happens in that time period. This insurrection marks the first appearance of the LAF 250 and the HLAF 500, standing for Light Assault Fighter and Heavy/Light Assault Fighter. They appear fairly commonly in the Corellian trilogy, covering this insurrection, where they are the mainline fighter of the Corellian Defense Force's space roster, which supported the Diktat as opposed to the CDF's ground forces, which were loyal to the New Republic for the most part. As a Corellian designed and used fighter, it made sense that it's a Corellian Engineering Corporation product, which is what Sons of Fortune, the source of the main depiction, says. However, Kraken's Threat Dossier, which is an older RPG sourcebook we're going to talk about a little bit later this week, where some of the original information is from, claims them to also have been made by Republic Engineering Corporation, a company based on Coruscant, which may have gotten involved at the installation of the New Republic's Governor-General in Corellia, although there's no reference to REC's involvement in Sons of Fortune or the Corellian trilogy. In either case, the LAF was seen as a serviceable but not fantastic fighter. They were relatively slow, with light shielding and fairly weak weaponry, intended to exist as a superiority fighter but also as a patrol craft without being especially well suited to either role. In light of the LAF 250's shortcomings, the ship was modified into the HLAF 500 variant, which added heavier armor and weaponry, including new proton torpedo launchers and better thrusters for improved speed and acceleration. It is worth noting that the original LAF and HLAF sketches in Kraken's Threat Dossier don't match up super well to the later images in the Sons of Fortune sourcebook. While the information in Kraken's Threat Dossier is often accepted as pretty good, the drawings and ship depictions are one of the least consistent things in the Star Wars Legends universe, often contradicting material within even the same sourcebook. Things like the Nebula and Endurance were fully redesigned afterwards as well, meaning we're better off taking the Sons of Fortune image as the quote-unquote real source. The Sons of Fortune group image also does include a third fighter type, with none being labeled, but context clues imply that the one at the front of the image being worked on by the large weird astromech with casters is the HLAF, along with the one on the left side of the main lineup. Then the lighter version of that one on the right side of the main lineup being the regular LAF 250. The third ship would appear to be some sort of older CEC fighter variant, and there are some similarities between this image, those designs, and the way they're depicted in Kraken's Threat Dossier, which does imply that that was the intention and that those were sort of derived from the Kraken's Threat Dossier depictions without being entirely based on them. I've also done my own rendition of the HLAF model for the Empire at War mod I run, Empire at War Expanded, which is in the background footage you've been seeing. It's also being used on the tabletop campaign we're running over on my gaming channel, Corey Loses, so I'll include a link to both of those in the description for anyone interested in checking either out. Either way, if you've enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like or subscribing, and leave any suggestions for topics you'd like to see me cover in the comments as well. The next video we do will be about Kraken's Threat Dossier more broadly, so I'm going to go into a bit more detail on some of the issues it has. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.